Hey Internet, welcome back to What's the Points? I'm Mike. Last week, I released a video on my air redemption with Japan Airlines, transcontinental round trip, lie flat business class seats. This video, I wanted to walk you through a little bit of what I did on my trip. So if that sounds interesting, please stick around and like and subscribe so we can get this in front of more people. So first stop was Tokyo. And I stayed in the famous Shibuya neighborhood. I stayed at the IHG Indigo, and I was able to take advantage of the fourth night free benefit you get as an IHG credit card account holder. And all in, I spent 189,000 IHG points for a stay that would have been at least $400 a night. And so I got almost close to 1 cent per point on this, which is far more than the half a cent that I spent on most of these. I had previously had a sign-up bonus with an IHG card, but I needed to top off. And so I waited until there was a sale and scooped up some of those. It was actually a little bit speculative because I didn't necessarily know I was going to be able to do this trip, but I'm really glad that I did. And I booked it well in advance. And Tokyo is expensive, and this area in particular seems to be especially expensive for accommodations. But the good news is that there was lots of places to eat out, including the first place I went, which was a 24-hour ramen place, which was great because I was still adjusting from Pacific Coast time in the US, and with that 7 hours difference, I was up and hungry at 5 in the morning. So there was a lot of really cool things to see in that neighborhood and other ones in the vicinity. Some really cool temples, public parks, lots of great coffee shops if you're into specialty coffee and matcha, and all around a blast. I particularly enjoyed the subways because it's such a humane experience is how I would describe it. The train could be completely crowded with people, but everyone's super polite. No one's talking because there's a culture, an etiquette of being completely silent so that you can have a meditative experience. And that helps make it just that much less confining feeling when you are crammed into a car with a lot of people during rush hour. But it was totally worth it because not only could I get everywhere super easily, I didn't have to set foot in a car once this whole trip. It's just really fun because I was able to get an authentic view of how everyone lives their lives there and just a sense of what it would be like to live somewhere that actually has really amazing public transit. So that was every bit as cool as I thought it would be. And speaking of which, I had the privilege of taking the Shinkansen bullet train to Kyoto next. Wow. It was every bit as cool as I hoped. Shockingly quiet and big seats, just a really tremendous experience. I think the amount of total time it took on the train itself was less than 3 hours. The driving time would have been about 5. And so my first place that I stayed in Kyoto was the SLH Hotel, a little boutique called Sowaka. And this is a traditional ryokan style where you remove your shoes at the entrance. All the staff are wearing traditional garments, and the aesthetic and the vibe is all very traditional, but with plenty of modern and high-end touches, it's really the best of both worlds. The restaurant was incredible. So what was so cool about this is an expensive property. Pretty much you can expect to spend over $1,000 a night anytime that you go there, any time of the year. But I was able to use one of my free night certificates with Hilton. The point is, the points price would have cost $120,000. And, if you're buying points at half a cent each, that would have been $600. Would I have done that for the whole time? Maybe, if I could have afforded it. The one thing I disliked a little bit was that the mattress was kind of a futon style mattress. It was very, very firm. And I'm sure if I had asked, they probably would have had a mattress topper. I actually needed to do that at the Indigo Shibuya. They added like a down feather bed topper. And, as a side sleeper, it's, for me, I can't have too hard of a mattress. But all these little touches, I mean, the thing about staying at hotels in Asia, or at least my limited experience so far, which is in Japan, is that even at mid-range properties, such as the Indigo, and the next one that I stayed at after Sowaka for 3 nights is the Hilton Doubletree in Kyoto, one of 2. And while this one was not quite as an interesting of a location, it was on a busy street in a little bit of a commercial area, it's still centrally located and easy to walk to the metro and shopping. And really, I spent all of my 4 days there walking to as many temples as I could and public parks, matcha everywhere, really trying to soak up as much of the culture and the history as I could, despite it being right smack in the middle of winter and it was snowing and sometimes the sidewalks were a little icy, but don't regret a minute of it. My only surprise really was that as touristy at some of the more popular locations as it was. And I'm told that it gets even more crowded at other times of the year, but especially around Giron, which is where I stayed that first night at the Sowaka, which is right around the corner from the famous Park Hyatt Kyoto. And because I was so curious, and I had actually tried to find availability, but I couldn't, they were nice enough to give me a really cool tour of the place. So, why not? I'll just throw in a few of these photos I took. And yeah, let's do a little video walkthrough right now real quick. As you can see, it's a very high-end hotel, a very different flavor. I got to say that you probably get a little bit more of typical luxury touches at this place, but the boutique feel and the real down-to-earth, friendly, genuine vibe, I can't say enough about how good the vibes were at Sowaka. But so at Hilton, it was more than acceptable for mid-range. The room, although small, was clean, quiet, comfortable, with lots of really nice touches that you might only see on luxury hotels in the US. Just lots of thoughtful touches in terms of everything from how the light switches work and the bathroom. Everything is just so intelligently designed and space efficient. When the space is that well laid out, it actually feels kind of nice, feels a little bit more like a nest of sorts. The breakfast buffet was one of the best I've had at a hotel, which is crazy for mid-range. This particular one was one of the most interesting ones for those of us who like tea. 5 different kinds of green tea with a description next to them of where they all came from, how they were cultivated, what the different health properties of each of them are. So this is a hotel buffet. Crazy. There was even an onsen on site, which is like a traditional Japanese bathhouse. But all in all, that one was a tremendous bargain. It was about $150 a night. The points price wasn't great, so I decided to pay with cash because all in I get over 30x back using the Hilton Aspire. But I remember the points the points price was going to give around half a cent per point. And that just wasn't going to cut it, because that's what I buy them at, and then save them to use at places that I would get 1 cent per point, like I would at the Sowaka. But fortunately, at Sowaka, like I said, it used a free night certificate. And taking the Shinkansen back, really cool view of Mount Fuji. It was amazing how close. I had no idea how close it was to the train route. I can't think of any other mountain that I've seen where you can see from the valley all the way up to the top. It's such a low elevation. All in all, if you've never been to Japan, I highly recommend going. Sure, there's a lot of hype. It's not the cheapest country to go to, but on the other hand, right now, the exchange rate to the U.S. dollar is very favorable to those of us who are dollars based. Got to eat lots of sushi for half the cost of what it would be. I just came away with an even deeper appreciation for the way that people live and shop and serve food and gather and seem to treat each other with dignity and respect. On that note, let's all take care of each other. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Ciao for now.